Blood dripped onto the altar stone, silver light twisting with red as the moon split the sky in two. Elara's hands shook, torn between healing and destroying, her own heartbeat thundering like war drums in her chest. Across from her, Ronan staggered, crimson veins glowing like fire beneath his skin. His eyes, wolf-bright, broken, unyielding, locked on hers. "You'll kill me if you try," he rasped, voice raw, desperate, her breath caught. "And if I don't, we all die." The elder's chant rose behind them, ancient words coiling like chains. Shadows writhed, wolves howled. The earth itself trembled beneath the blood moon. Between one heartbeat and the next, Elara realized the truth. She had never been cursed to destroy him, only bound to choose him. And as their hands collided, power tore the night apart. Chapter 1. Blood poured from the wolf's flank, steaming against the cold night ground. "Elara, please," a voice cracked, desperate. Her knees hit the dirt before she realized she'd moved. Her hands pressed to the wound, trembling. Heat surged through her palms, not gentle, not divine, but hungry. It clawed out of her, a river of light that smelled of iron and storm. Gasps broke the silence as silver glow bled into fur. Flesh knitted. The wolf's breathing steadied. Cheers rose from the pack, echoing off the trees. Elara, blessed by the moon goddess. She forced a smile, her chest tight. Pride and dread twisted together, like two wolves fighting inside her. Her pack saw a saint. She felt like a liar. The healed wolf licked her hand. But then, her vision blurred. Crimson energy flared at the edges, jagged streaks of red flickering behind her eyes. Her body swayed, her fingers shook. She bit down a gasp. Not now, not here. "Elara," the elder's voice rang smooth and certain. "Your gift saves us again." His gaze lingered too long, too knowing. Her breath caught. She bowed her head, but her thoughts spun. Because no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't ignore it. Every healing left her weaker. Every miracle pulled something dark closer. And tonight, she had seen it. Crimson threads, a sign of unraveling. What followed was thunderous praise, but in her chest fear screamed louder. That night, silence wrapped her cabin, but it wasn't peace. It was a cage. She lit a candle, sat at her desk, and opened her journal. Ink bled shaky lines across the page, hands trembling again, nightmares growing worse, strangers screaming when I heal. She pressed the pen harder, carving the words. "No matter how hard I try," she whispered, "they think I'm chosen. But I know the truth." Her wolf stirred, uneasy. The scent of smoke and pine pressed at her senses. Shadows seemed alive, leaning closer. She closed her eyes. The faces came back, faceless, hollow-eyed strangers writhing as her magic poured into wounds. Their screams, their reaching hands. She jerked upright, pen clattering. Her chest heaved. A knock rattled the door. "Elara," the elder's voice, calm as ever. "The pack thanks you. The goddess smiles on you." Her lips parted, but no words came. His steps faded, but his presence clung like smoke. Her hand tightened around the pen. The candle sputtered. She whispered to the empty room, voice breaking. "Am I cursed to destroy the ones I love? Or is there something else?" Deep down, she knew the truth. Meanwhile, miles away, a man knelt in the ruins of a burned village. Ronan's fingers brushed the cracked earth. His alchemy ring hummed, faint red light tracing sigils in the soil. Energy pulsed beneath. The same parasite scent he had chased for months. He followed it into silence. Ash clung to the air. The scent of plague rotted through empty homes. He saw his sister's face in every shadow. His mother's cough echoed in the wind. The trail sharpened, tethered to one single source. One wolf. His jaw clenched. "Finally," he muttered. His voice broke, then hardened. "Whoever carries this power will answer for what they've taken from me." He stood, crimson light burning along his veins, And just like that, his hunt had a name. Chapter 2. The forest pulsed with silence. Elara stood barefoot on damp soil, moonlight spilling silver across her skin. Her gift had stirred again tonight, unwanted, unstoppable. A child with fever had been brought to her. One touch, and her veins had burned like fire. The boy lived, but she'd seen it. The crimson threads again. Now, alone, she pressed trembling hands to her chest. The cold air tasted like smoke. Elara. Her wolf's voice in her head, low, uneasy. Something watches. Her breath caught. She turned. Between the trees, golden eyes glimmered, not the warm eyes of her pack. These were wild, hungry, unfamiliar. Her heart pounded. She took one step back, and then, nothing. The eyes vanished. The forest swallowed its secret. She stood frozen, fear crawling like vines under her skin. Ronan leaned against the tavern wall, hood drawn low. He hadn't meant to enter pack territory so soon, but the crimson scent here was too strong to ignore. Through the noise of drunken laughter and clattering mugs he tracked it, the aura of corruption, threaded into one wolf, her. She entered with a healer's bag slung at her hip. Graceful, head bowed, smile soft. But her hands shook when she thought no one was looking. Ronan's pulse hammered. So it's you. For a moment, he almost pitied her. Almost. But then his sister's face rose in his mind. Their last night together, her coughing blood whispering his name. He shoved the pity away. His chair scraped as he rose. Elara froze. Her wolf stirred. Her gaze flicked to him. And in that instant, their eyes locked. His ring burned against his finger. Her gift pulsed in her chest. Recognition, like a spark. The noise of the tavern drowned in silence. The night broke open. Outside, the air was sharp with pine and storm. Elara quickened her steps, heart in her throat. Whoever that stranger was, his eyes had seen too much. Wait. The voice followed. Rough, commanding, not a request. She spun, her braid whipping. He stood in shadow, tall, hood fallen back. His presence was magnetic and dangerous, every line of him carved with tension. I don't know you, she said, trying to sound steady. But I know what you are. His words cut like steel. His gaze dropped to her hands. You can't hide it. Her breath hitched. She wanted to deny it, laugh it off, but the way his eyes glowed faintly red told her he wasn't guessing. He knew. Stay away from me, she whispered. I can't, he said, stepping closer. Because if I'm right, your power is killing people. The world tilted. Her wolf snarled inside her. Liar, she snapped, but her voice trembled. No. His jaw tightened, grief cracking through his anger. I've buried too many to let this go, and if you're the source, I'll stop you even if it kills me. The space between them burned with fear, fury, and something else neither wanted to name. Elara's heart pounded as if trying to escape her chest, because part of her wanted to run, and part of her wanted to stay. Chapter 3. The fever broke with a scream. Elara's hands pressed against the boy's chest, her magic spilling without restraint. Crimson threads lanced through her vision, tethering her to someone far away. The boy's rattling breath steadied, but Elara's lungs collapsed with the weight of stolen life. She tore her hands back. Gasps rippled through the watching wolves. The child's mother clutched him, crying her thanks. But the others, eyes narrowed, whispers rising. She heals too fast. That's not natural. Elara staggered, clutching her arms tight against her body. Her wolf whimpered inside her, cornered. Enough, the elder barked, silencing the crowd. His gaze slid over Elara, unreadable, yet too sharp, too knowing. Her blood iced. He's watching me closer now. She fled the hut before the whispers could grow teeth. The forest wrapped her in darkness. She ran until her lungs burned, until pine needles cut her feet raw. And still, he found her. Ronan stepped out from behind a tree, blocking her path. Hood gone, face bare under the moonlight. His eyes burned crimson, veins faintly glowing. "Stop running," he said. Her chest heaved. "You don't understand." "I understand more than you think." His voice cracked with something raw. "Every time you heal, someone weakens. Someone dies. Do you feel it, Elara? The pull?" Her pulse stuttered. He spoke the truth she never dared name aloud. "How do you know my name?" she whispered. His silence was answer enough, fear tangled with rage. "You're hunting me." "I should be." His fists clenched. "But God's help me, I can't stay away." The confession struck harder than any threat. Heat rose in her chest, equal parts fury and something far more dangerous. Before she could speak, the night tore open with a howl. Not wolf, not human. Something twisted in between. The creature lunged from the shadows, skin gray, eyes hollow, mouth a gaping ruin, one of the Elder's blessed experiments, half wolf, half corruption. Elara froze. Ronan moved first. A vial burst in his hand, fire flaring to life. The thing shrieked, recoiling. "Elara, move!" But her body refused. Her wolf cowered, choking on the stench of rotting magic. The creature turned back, claws raised. Ronan tackled her, rolling them both across the dirt. His body shielded hers, breath harsh in her ear. The world shrank to heat, weight, the smell of smoke and pine. She clutched him instinctively, her power surging. Threads of silver and crimson sparked where her skin touched his. He hissed, eyes wide, as the magic bound between them pulsed. Alive. Electric. "What?" His words choked off. His gaze locked on hers, faces inches apart, breaths mingling. The monster shrieked again, but for one impossible heartbeat, Elara couldn't hear anything except the thundering rhythm of his heart against hers. The bond had found them, and neither could deny it. Chapter 4. The fire from Ronan's vial still smoldered behind them when he grabbed her wrist. "Come," he said, voice tight. "There's something you need to see." She wanted to pull back, to fight, to scream, but his grip wasn't cruel. It was steady, warm. Against her will, she followed him deeper into the woods. They reached ruins older than her Pax Valley, stones swallowed by moss, archways broken, a scent of iron and herbs lingering like ghosts. Ronan lit another vial, its glow painting carvings into life, circles of wolves and men chained together, blood pouring between them. Her stomach twisted. This place, Ronan murmured, was where it began, where wolves and alchemists were bound, by him. The Elder's shadow stretched long across the stones, even in his absence. Elara traced a carving of a wolf bent over a man, their veins tangled in spirals. Her hand trembled. "What does it mean?" Ronan's jaw worked, fury simmering in his veins. "It means you've never been draining strangers, Elara. You've only been draining me." Her breath caught. "No." Her voice broke. "That's not possible. Every wound you healed, every fever you broke, it was cut from me." His voice cracked not with anger but with something worse. Grief. "You've been stealing my life since the first time you touched someone." Her knees buckled, back hitting cold stone. She shook her head, but the bond pulsed in answer, undeniable. Tears blurred her sight. "Then I'm a monster." Ronan crouched before her, his voice low, rough. "No, you're the key. The only reason I'm alive is because we're tethered. Hate it or not, Elara, we're bound." The truth hollowed her out. And yet buried inside the horror was something even more dangerous. Hope. The ground trembled before she could speak. Shadows peeled from the trees, wolves with eyes glazed silver stepping into the ruins. The Elder's voice slithered through the night. "You were never meant to find this place." Elara's heart seized. The wolves circled, snarls low, but their movements were wrong, jerky, controlled. The Elder's will bent them like puppets. "Run!" Ronan growled. He pulled her behind him, vials glinting in his hands. But Elara knew. This wasn't a fight they could win. The elder had found her. Claws raked stone as the first wolf lunged. Ronan met it with fire, the ruins burning alive in the night. Elara cried out as silver chains coiled from the shadows, snaring her wrists, yanking her off her feet. Ronan roared her name. Her last sight before the world went black was his face, desperate, furious, and lit by crimson fire. The elder had her now. Chapter 5. Smoke still curled over the ruins when Ronan dragged himself to his knees. His chest burned, his ribs ached, and his heart, his heart, felt carved hollow. Elara. Her name was ash in his throat. For a moment, despair gnawed at him. He had lost before, his family, his people, his purpose. Losing her should have been the end. But then, the bond pulsed faintly, weak, but alive. He staggered up, clutching his vials, jaw set like stone. I will not lose you too. Every scar, every wound, every drop of blood shed for vengeance twisted into something new. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about her. And so he moved, slipping through shadow and ruin, following the thin golden thread of their tether. Because of that bond, he knew exactly where she was. The elder thought her his vessel. Ronan would prove him wrong. Elara knelt in silver chains, the ritual circle pulsing beneath her. The elder's chants echoed like knives in her skull. You were never meant to lead, he whispered, voice sliding over her skin. You were meant to feed. Her head hung, shame burning hotter than the chains. Maybe he was right. Every life she'd touched had cost Ronan his blood. But then, footsteps, a shadow at the edge of the circle. Her heart leapt before her eyes confirmed it. Ronan. He was bruised, bloody, but alive. His voice cut through the chants like thunder. You don't own her. The elder laughed, raising his hands, silver light spilling like rivers. She will drain you dry, boy. She already has. Elara cried out, Don't come closer. If I touch you. Ronan strode forward, unflinching. Then let it kill me, because I'd rather die with you than live without you. The words cracked something inside her. Tears blurred her sight as the chains tightened, but when he reached for her, she didn't resist. Their hands met, and the circle exploded. Magic roared, red and silver colliding, a storm of fire and moonlight. Their bond, once a chain, became a current, fusing alchemy and wild magic into something new. For the first time, she didn't fight it. She let it flow. The ground split. The air thickened. The moon overhead bled into a terrible red. The elder staggered back, fury twisting his face. Fools, love cannot break what I built. It will destroy you. Elara and Ronan stood at the circle's center, hands locked, fire and light coiling around their bodies like armor. Maybe, Elara whispered, voice steady. Or maybe love is the one thing you never accounted for. Wolves howled in the distance, their cries fractured by fear. Alchemists' symbols burned across the stones. The two worlds teetered at the edge of collapse. Ronan squeezed her hand, his voice low in her ear. No turning back. She nodded, silver eyes blazing. Then let's finish this. And just like that, everything changed. The blood moon crowned the sky, casting the world in crimson fire. The final battle had begun. Chapter 6. The blood moon split the heavens like a wound. Crimson light poured down in rivers and the earth groaned beneath it. Then the howling began. Not the mournful song of wolves. This was a sound of madness. In the shadows of the trees, dozens of shapes staggered and writhed. Wolves' eyes burned red, their bodies trembling as the curse seized them. Fur split, teeth lengthened, and in the frenzy they turned on one another. Elara's heart clenched. These were her people, her pack. She reached out instinctively. Stop. Please. A wolf lunged for her throat. Ronan pulled her back just in time, his arm raised. Alchemical fire erupted from his palm, not to kill, but to force distance. The wolf skidded away, eyes wild, saliva stringing from its jaws. "They're gone," Ronan rasped, chest heaving. "The moon has them now." "No." Elara shook, silver eyes flashing. "If they're gone, then so am I. They are me." The bond pulsed hot between them. Ronan saw it, the anguish in her eyes, the unbearable weight of watching everything she loved collapse, and he made his choice in silence. If she would fight for them, then so would he. The elder emerged from the carnage like a phantom, robes glistening with threads of silver magic, face lit by the red moon. His voice cut through the chaos, commanding the wolves, feeding their rage. "See how they tear each other apart? This is your destiny, Elara. To be the keystone of ruin. You cannot save them. You can only consume." Ronan stepped in front of her, vial in hand, crimson veins burning like molten metal under his skin. "She is not your weapon." The elder's smile was venom. "She already is." The ground erupted. Silver chains slithered from the earth, wrapping around Ronan's limbs. He snarled, struggling as they burned into his flesh. Elara reached for him, but the elder's magic struck her like a hammer, throwing her against the ritual stones. "Every time you touch him," the elder hissed, stepping closer, "you drain him. You think love will save him. Love is the noose around his neck." Ronan gasped, the chain searing deeper. His vision blurred, but through the haze he saw her, Elara on her knees, hands pressed to the earth, fighting to rise. And something inside him roared, "No, not again." With a snarl, he shattered the chains in a burst of alchemical fire, blood streaming from his palms. He staggered to her side, lifting her before the elder could strike again. Their bond flared, red and silver colliding in defiance. The elder's laughter echoed, chilling the air. "Do you even know what you are, child? Do you know why your bond kills?" Elara's chest heaved, her silver eyes locking on him. "Tell me." He lifted a hand, and the blood moon pulsed brighter. "Your soul is not whole. When you were born, half of it was bound to him. That is why you are drawn together. That is why you cannot survive apart." Elara froze, horror slicing through her veins. Ronan stiffened, the truth pressing against his ribs like a blade. "But halves cannot exist in balance forever," the elder continued, voice low, merciless. "One will devour the other, and under this moon, it will be tonight." The ground shook, the circle blazing again, red swallowing silver. Elara's voice trembled. "If that's true, then the only way to save him is—" "Don't." Ronan's hand clutched hers, fierce, desperate. "Don't even think it. We fight. Together. Do you hear me?" The elder raised his arms, the sky bleeding brighter. Wolves screamed, fire and silver twisted into one storm, and Elara's heart cracked because she knew, before the blood moon waned, she would have to choose, save him or save them all. Chapter 7. They stumbled into the remnants of the healer's grove, half burned by stray alchemical fire and wolf claws. The trees groaned, their once silver leaves blackened, but the circle of stones still stood, faintly glowing. Elara collapsed against one, chest heaving, her fingers trembling as she pressed them into the dirt. The ground was warm, pulsing faintly with life, as if the land itself clung to its last breath. Ronan dropped beside her, his body wrecked, crimson veins glowing faintly under the skin of his throat and wrists. His hand found hers without thought, rough, burned, trembling, but alive. For a long moment there was only silence, the rasp of their breaths, the distant screams fading into the night. Finally, Elara whispered, "If he's right, if we're halves of the same soul, then every time I save someone I am killing you." Her throat broke on the words. Ronan's jaw flexed. He turned to her, forcing her to look at him. His eyes weren't just furious, they were aching. "And every time I burn my veins for alchemy, I feed the same curse, don't you see? It's not you destroying me. It's what was done to us." She shook her head, tears streaking her dirt-stained cheeks. "I don't know how to fight something that lives in me. You don't fight it alone. His forehead pressed to hers, sweat and blood mingling between them. His voice softened, a whisper that trembled with more than pain. Elara, if I die by your hands, then at least I died loving you. Don't let him turn that into a curse. Her lips parted, breath catching, the raw ache of his words unraveling the last thread of her restraint. She kissed him, not desperate, not fleeting, but with the slow, trembling reverence of someone touching what she feared she'd lose. It was fragile at first, the taste of salt and iron between them, his hands tentative on her waist. But then the bond flared, searing, and they clung to each other like drowning souls. Elara broke first, pulling back with a sob. We don't have time. The moon's almost at zenith. Then let this be the time we steal, Ronan murmured, his thumb brushing the hollow of her throat, his eyes fierce and soft all at once. Not for him. Not for the curse. For us. The world around them trembled, crimson light leaking through the trees. But for that heartbeat there was only warmth between their palms, the press of his lips to her temple, the thud of two halves of a soul refusing to be broken apart. They rose together, still unsteady, but different now. Elara's silver eyes glowed with something fiercer than despair. If he's right, then tonight one of us dies. Her hand tightened around Ronan's. But I will not let him choose which half of us survives. Ronan's crimson-lit veins burned brighter as he lifted a shattered vial, twisting its pieces into a crude blade of glass and fire. Then we end this curse the only way it was ever meant to end, not with his control, but with our choice. The blood moon thundered above, shadows crawling across the grove, the elders' chant rolling through the air. Elara and Ronan turned toward the ritual circle. Their bond pulsed, no longer a chain, but a flame. Together they stepped into the storm. Chapter 8. The grove erupted in a storm of light and shadow. The elder stood in the circle, arms raised, his chant shaking the very bones of the earth. Crimson threads of magic lashed out like serpents, coiling around Elara and Ronan, dragging them toward the center. Elara's lungs burned as the curse seized her veins, turning them silver fire. Beside her, Ronan roared in agony, crimson veins blazing brighter than ever, his body straining against invisible chains. The elder's voice split the night. Two halves of one soul, one must feed, one must fall. Elara's knees buckled, her vision flooding white. Her soul screamed, choose, kill or be killed. Ronan staggered to his feet, blood dripping from his lips, his alchemical blade still clutched in his fist. He slashed against the chains of magic, sparks flying, the air smelling of burning flesh. Elara, look at me, he shouted, his voice breaking through her spiraling fear. Her gaze locked on his, silver meeting gold-flecked crimson. Not chains, not curses, just him. And in that instant, the bond between them surged, not as a leash, but as defiance. Her hands flared with healing light, not aimed at him, but at herself, searing through the silver fire trying to consume her. His crimson blaze flared to meet hers, wrapping around the elder's magic and snapping it like brittle glass. The elder stumbled back, eyes wide. Impossible! Not impossible! Ronan snarled, dragging Elara into his arms, both of them trembling but unbroken. Ours. The blood moon shrieked overhead, pulsing, demanding its sacrifice. The ground split, roots writhing like serpents, the curse itself lashing out to reclaim them. The elder hurled the full force of his magic, shadows spearing toward their hearts. Elara and Ronan moved as one. She pressed her glowing hand against his back, feeding her life into his broken body. He raised the alchemical blade, now burning with both their lights, silver and crimson braided together. With a cry that tore the sky, Ronan drove the blade through the elder's chest. The explosion shook the grove. Magic shattered howls echoing into nothingness as the blood moon cracked like glass, raining shards of red light across the night. The elder's body crumbled to ash. The curse screamed, and then went silent. Silence. Ronan collapsed to his knees, the blade dissolving into smoke. His body flickered, crimson veins fading as if the fire had burned too deep. Elara fell with him, cradling his face in her trembling hands. No, no, stay with me, don't you dare. His eyes fluttered open, faint gold lingering. His voice was weak but steady. You gave me more than a life, Elara. You gave me choice. You gave me us. Her tears fell on his skin, glowing as they sank into him. Silver light threaded into his fading veins, and for the first time, instead of burning, the bond soothed. He gasped, shuddered, and then his breathing steadied. The curse was gone. The grove lay in ruins, but dawn broke over the horizon, soft gold spilling across the blackened stones. The blood moon was nothing more than a pale ghost fading from the sky. Elara leaned against Ronan, exhausted, but alive, her silver eyes softer now, no longer burdened with fire. His arm wrapped around her waist, his touch steady. We're free, she whispered, almost not daring to believe it. He kissed her hair, his voice rough with awe. Not free, chosen, together. Their fingers twined, silver and crimson scars etched along their skin, permanent reminders, but not chains. Marks of survival, of love. As the forest slowly stirred back to life, they walked forward, two halves of a soul, whole at last. Epilogue. Weeks later, the Pax Valley was no longer cloaked in fear. Where sickness once thrived, new wildflowers pushed through the earth. Children laughed again, healed not by stolen life force but by Elara's gentler touch, her magic reborn in balance, no longer a parasite. Ronan stood at the edge of the forest, watching the horizon with quiet intensity. The scars on his skin pulsed faintly with silver light, not pain but something, waiting. Elara joined him, her hand brushing his. You're thinking too loudly, she teased softly. He smiled, but his gaze never left the distance. The curse is gone, but power like that, it doesn't just vanish. On the far horizon, a sliver of red light flickered briefly in the morning sky, like an ember refusing to die. Elara's breath caught. She gripped his hand tighter. Ronan finally looked at her, gold flecks glinting in his eyes. If it rises again, we'll face it together. She leaned against him, whispering against his chest. Then let them come. And as the wind stirred through the trees, the faint echo of a wolf's howl carried on the breeze, low, distant, and not entirely gone.